60 Minutes with Angela starts right now.
It is important to have excellent customer service because without good customer service, if a company does not have a group of people who are fantastic when it comes to excellent customer service, it would obviously affect the revenue of any company.
Right.
And at the end of the day, the only reason why we start a business is because of profit or money, and if we don't make money, then the business closes up. You must be a good listener. You must respond to customers' complaints within a reasonable time, because there are some irate customers who really believe in the customer is always right.
Yes.
The customer is always right. Sometimes customers could be very unreasonable because at the back of their head or mind, they feel the customer is always right.
Well, hello and welcome. This is 60 Minutes with me, Angela Ajitumobi. Thank you for joining me on the program today. My host today has over 20 years experience in sales, customer service, and sales administration. If, like me, you've ever had a hard time, her strength lies in strategic decision making, new customer acquisition through social networking, and advice. She has spent the last 22 years providing management services to a wide range of medium and large businesses. And the reason I have her here today is because I'm worried about the customer service ethic of Nigerians in private and public organizations. She holds a first degree from a prestigious Howard University in the United States of America, a degree in finance and banking. And today she'll be taking us through the rudiments of customer service. Why is customer service so important? And where are the lapses we have in our country? So, join me after the break. I'm counting down 60 minutes with customer service expert KEMI ODUNOWO. Welcome back and welcome, Ms. ODUNOWO. Thank you very much for coming on the program with me.
Thank you very much, Angela.
You know, in researching this topic, customer service, this is what I got. The act of taking care of the customer's needs by providing and delivering professional, helpful, high-quality service and assistance before, during, and after the customer's requirements are met. That's what I got. But I want you to define for us what customer service really means.
Customer service really can be very vague, it can be broad, but the general definition of customer service is precisely what you've said. But in addition to that,
Yes.
I would say it's not just providing high quality service, customers' needs and all that. I would say excellent. Excellent is very important because in your company, what you regard as good customer service at the end of the day would be different from my definition of customer service in my company. Also, every industry is different. If you work in the car industry, it's totally different from a hotel or restaurant or mortgage company. So it's all relative, but customer service generally should be excellent. Otherwise, it's bad service.
How would you rate our customer service here in Nigeria? And let's talk about the private sector first. Private companies, private businesses that have great interaction with members of the public, fast food companies, restaurants, and things like that. How would you rate it?
In my opinion, I would say customer service in the private sector is actually poor.
Here?
Extremely poor. What I mean by that is, take for instance, you go to a fast food restaurant. I had a nasty experience some time ago.
Okay.
I ordered for food, and the lady that attended to me just automatically assumed my change should be forgotten. And I was like, hello,
okay,
are you joking or what?
Yes.
I have my change back, please. And
why do you think they assume that? I've had calls to ask one or two of them, and they say, you know, madam, you are too big for this change. I couldn't really get my mind over that. And they have all kinds of tricks. They will tell you there's no change. But you go into any retail store abroad, they have all the currencies in all the denominations, so that no matter what your change is going to be like, they have the right money for you.
True. One of the reasons why most of these people behave the way they do is because, one, they're not as skilled as they ought to be. For instance, I don't know what the requirements are in the fast food restaurant, but in my opinion, by the standard of the service and the way they interact with you, you can tell that they're just primary or secondary school leavers, which can't really deliver the service. That's one. Two, in most cases, they're not aware of what they're doing. They don't know. You can only give what you have. They don't know anything. They don't know any better. That's what they know. And that's what they can provide. To correct that, I would suggest, or I would say, the employer or the owners of these businesses should train their staff accordingly and properly to avoid this sort of bad customer experience.
Is the training just a one-off thing, or is it a continuous process of training?
From my experience in Nigeria, I've observed that training is usually done once in a while. And customer service training shouldn't be like that. It should be an ongoing process. I would suggest, for example, every quarter. Every quarter would be ideal for most of the industries we have in Nigeria. But a lot of companies don't look into that area. They can't be bothered, or maybe they don't even know
that they're supposed to be doing that.
Exactly. Because abroad, for instance, I know that most companies, it's part of the budget for the year. Also, everyone knows, even within the organization, that, I know I have training in June, October, Christmas. And that's the way it works. You just have to train people in order to render good service, and ultimately, the whole idea of doing this customer service training is just to boost your revenue at the end of the day. Because the worst thing that can happen to anybody is to go shopping, for instance, and have a bad customer service experience. No one would want to go back to that store.
Do you find in this environment, do the employers take infractions or on the part of their employees seriously? Do we know if they are sanctioned? For instance, your experience at the fast food place you went, where the girl assumed you wouldn't want your change. Do you think perhaps if people are sanctioned for behavior like that, it would change anything?
In my opinion, I would believe if a staff is being reported that he or she was a bit rude or nasty to a customer, there should be sanctions, because at the end of the day, if there are no sanctions, then nothing is going to change. And that's not what you want. So there should be sanctions. Actually, there should be sanctions. I remember when I worked in a company called Luxottica in London. Luxottica is an eyewear company in the UK. It's one of the biggest companies in the UK. They manufacture and sell sunglasses and optical glasses. We were told in my department that you can't get away with it if you've been reported just once. So they have zero tolerance for being rude and not rendering quality and high standard service to customers.
No probation period.
No probation period, because they would have trained, they would have, they would have had rounds of words with you. So you should know that you're not meant to do, on rare occasions, you get away with it. But generally speaking, you won't get away with it if you get reported or a customer writes in and complains about you.
Yes.
Because the way they look at it is, if we have hundreds of your type of staff, then there's no more business for us. So they have zero tolerance for inappropriate behavior when it comes to customer service.
Can customer service be ethnic, or I'm trying to look for the right words to use? I've heard people say, we're not Europeans, we're not white people. In other words, we deserve bad customer service because of who we are. So can customer service be related to our environment, as in, you are Nigerian, why are you angry that they didn't give you your change?
I don't think we should look at it like that.
Yes.
I don't want to use the word ethnic. I just find out that bad customer service is a major problem in Nigeria, regardless of whether you are from the north, from the south, or east or west. It doesn't matter. We just don't understand what it means. And because we don't understand the essence or the importance of customer service, we can't give what we don't have.
Yes.
So I feel we should sensitize people, members of staff, train them to avoid unnecessary complaints from customers regarding bad customer service.
So why is it important to have good customer service?
It is important to have excellent customer service because without good customer service, if a company does not have a group of people who are fantastic when it comes to excellent customer service, it would obviously affect the revenue of any company.
Right.
And at the end of the day, the only reason why we start a business is because of profit or money. And if we don't make money, then the business closes up. So it's quite important, very important. It's only in this part of the world that I've realized that people don't really care about customer service.
In your experience, since you started this consultancy in customer service, how easy is it for you to break in? Because you talked about training for customer service being part of a budget.
Yes.
For instance, if you're coming to talk to a company here who didn't even know that they needed customer service training, how do you convince them? How do you break in to that? How do you convince anyone to spend money on something they didn't even give a thought to while they were setting up that business?
One of the ways is to probably do what we call the mystery shopping. You walk into a store or a company unannounced. They don't know who you are.
Yes.
You might ask silly questions.
Yes.
You might just walk in and say, "Can I see your MD?" You know you're not going to see the MD, but you just want to have a feel of how they will react. How they would react. And 9 out of 10 times they do fail because they will be like, "Huh? MD?
Don't they look at you from...
Do you have an appointment?" In a condescending manner.
Yes. You to see my MD.
It's totally unacceptable.
Yes.
They talk to you like that and you'll be like, "Hello, if I need to see the MD of your company, what do I need to do?"
Yes.
Most times they don't even know what to do. They don't know. They're ignorant.
Yes.
So what do you do? Sometimes I note that down.
Yes.
I could also ask questions like, "When do you close? What time do you close?" Sometimes they'll tell you, "Oh, Samuel," or he or she would just call a colleague, "What time will they close, sir?" They use the local lingua.
Pidgin English.
Pidgin English.
With the customer
standing there. And they'll be like, 6 o'clock, or they sit down, you are standing, they sit down. It's quite rude to do that.
You've made a very great point. So what are you telling us? When a client walks in, there's certain things the client ought to see
Yes.
coming into an organization? You talked about sitting down. Are you saying the receptionist shouldn't sit?
I'm not saying a receptionist shouldn't sit, but the ideal way of welcoming a customer should be a friendly environment. And sometimes when you sit down, it's not tidy enough.
Yes.
You just stand up. It doesn't cost you anything to stand up. Oh, good afternoon, sir. How may I help you?
Yes.
What would you like me to do for you today?
Yes.
It's not like you should overdo it by over laughing,
Yes.
asking personal questions, but it's just to be pleasant and friendly.
Yes.
You walk into a company, you want to have that friendly ambience. You want to see that friendly ambience.
Yes.
You want to have a feel you're at home. Because if you feel at home, then
Yes.
you'd always look back, or you'd always look forward to going back. But most times here, it's never like that. It's never like that. So we have a long way to go in Nigeria when it comes to customer service. Very few companies in Nigeria do understand the importance of customer service. The oil and gas industry is not as bad. I would say, I'm not sure, but what I've seen so far
Yes.
is maybe because in the oil and gas sector, maybe there's money and they're aware and there's a budget for all
they have
that.
a lot of liaisons with companies abroad.
Broad. So they're familiar of what is expected of them. Other than that, customer service everywhere
Yes.
is just so bad.
So
It's unreal. It's so bad.
join us again after the break.
Nice question.
Angela, that's a great question.
It's a good question.
It is difficult to respond to that question.
That is a serious question. Angela, that is a very great question. Great question, Angela.
You know, Angela, that's a very difficult question.
That's a great question, Angela.
Okay, that's a great question.
Angela, that's a tough one for me.
That's a good question. Good question.
I love to ask questions. I think it's what I do best. You see, I think that the fastest way to learn anything is to ask questions. The right questions. Questions that help you get to the heart of the matter.
60 Minutes with Angela. Again, answers to every question you always wanted to ask.
Welcome back. If you've just joined us, it's 60 Minutes with me, Angela Ajetomobi. On my hot seat today, customer service expert, KEMI ODUNOWO. Okay, let's talk about some of the worst instances of customer service that you have encountered while you've been here. I know that you've worked with various companies in various capacities. Now you're doing this on your own, obviously because you've seen lapses. You've also said that maybe the oil companies are a little bit better in providing good-ish customer service than most. So what are some of those nasty experiences you can tell us about?
One or two of the worst customer service that I've bad or worst customer service that I've experienced, funnily enough, happened in two different hotels. This happened about 2 years ago. I went for a wedding with my cousin in Abuja. We were lodged in a 5-star hotel. We got there and apparently, if I can remember very well, the hotel is a 5-star hotel, and if you're on a certain floor, you don't get free breakfast.
Okay.
And if you're on a certain floor again, or maybe the penthouse floors,
yes,
you would have free breakfast.
Right.
But we were not on the penthouse floor, and we just assumed, because most times anyway when we check in into an hotel, breakfast is automatically
on the
free,
house. Yes.
on the house. So we got into the restaurant on the 9th floor.
Yes.
And we just walked in. We saw a hostess. She welcomed us. We sat. And as we were eating, as I was almost finishing my breakfast, I just saw a gentleman who walked towards me, and he said, "You're paying for the breakfast." And I was like, excuse me, how am I supposed to pay for the breakfast? Is it not free? And he was like, no, you have to pay. You have to pay. I said, excuse me, you don't speak to me like that.
Yes.
And I'm still eating. Even, why didn't you tell me at the beginning or at the entrance as we were approaching the restaurant? Or you wait until I finish. You just don't come and interrupt my meal. And I find it very offensive. So I told him, I said, can you call me your manager? Initially, he thought he was a joke.
Yes.
I found it really offensive.
Yes.
And I said, can I see your manager? He went back, he brought this lady, and she was like, oh, sorry. So I said, no, sorry, that I'm a customer service consultant. I have zero tolerance for bad behavior.
Yes.
When it comes to service, I demand an apology.
Yes.
Funnily enough, they apologized. They were like, oh, till you leave, your breakfast should be free. If you have a friend, one, at least you can also bring in a guest to that floor to have free breakfast. And I was like, thank you. In addition to that, whilst I was having my meal, there was a particular section where omelets, sausages, sandwiches were being made. So I told the lady that, could I have sunny side up? And I want it well done.
Yes.
And she said, okay,
that's
fine.
Sunny side up eggs.
Eggs.
Well done.
Well done.
No runny yolk.
No runny yolk. Within 5 minutes, she came back and she brought the food, and it was raw, practically raw. And I said, excuse me, I don't eat this. I can't eat this. Can I have my sunny side up? Well done. And she gave me a nasty look. And I was like, excuse me, hello, I'm not having this. Can you also call me your manager?
Yes.
My cousin was a little bit embarrassed. She was like, oh,
I was going to say that you will be considered a troublemaker.
Yes, my cousin was a little bit embarrassed. I said, listen, you know me, I don't take rubbish. My DNA would not allow me to take this sort of service, especially lodging in this kind of hotel. If it was a 2 or 3 star hotel, probably, but I'm not having this. My cousin was like, oh, Kemi, please be careful. Don't let the woman lose her job. I said, I don't care. I could care less.
Yes.
I want good service. I'm paying for service. So I want good service. Why am I paying? So later on, the lady now realized it was getting out of hand. So she was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I said, no, I'm not having it. Can I see your manager as well? And she was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. To cut the whole story short, they told us that anytime you come here, plus an additional guest, you don't pay. And they gave me a card, a free pass, that I could come in anytime. Yes. And
but you see, that's amazing. We don't have a culture of complaining. As you witnessed from your cousin, we would rather die than complain about bad customer service. That's a minus? It must be. Not complaining, it must be a minus.
To a certain extent, yes, it is a minus, because you see, when you don't complain, the reason why I feel people don't complain also is that they don't even know what good service is anyway.
Yes.
So it's not just coming into your shop, doing my hair. If we run a salon, you wash my hair, you plait it or whatever, I get out. That's not service. It's that thing, that extra thing that you do
that makes you come back.
That makes me come back. And again. So it's not just, for instance, me coming into your salon. Yes. You wash my hair, you put in rollers, I sit under the dryer. Oh yes, nice. You know, what is that extra thing that you're doing? What is it? It's that extra care. Extra care is crucial. It's very important. Very important.
And from your experience, do you find that many people are like your cousin, for instance, not wanting to be confrontational when they receive bad service? I've seen people receive bad food and say, oh, you know, I don't want them to lose their job, and just put it aside. You need to complain. Do you find that a lot happening in our environment?
Not at all. A lot of people are usually quiet about it. One of the reasons you've explained that people don't like to be seen to be a bit aggressive. But to me, I don't find that as being aggressive. I just want good service. Give me good service, you're not going to get that side of me. I want good service because I'm paying for service and I must get what I'm paying for. So I wouldn't consider, or I wouldn't see it as being confrontational or being aggressive. I just want good service. I deserve good service if I'm paying for it.
Is it difficult to change the orientation of people who are already in service into delivering excellent customer service? if you're used to doing bad things, you don't give change, you give the side eye when the client complains, you serve the food, it is cold and they complain, you give the side eye like was done to you at the 5-star hotel. Are those people trainable? Can we change that orientation?
To a certain extent, we can change it, but I'll tell you how. There was a particular month, I think this was last year, I also went for dinner at a restaurant on the island. And we experienced all what we've been talking about.
Yes.
So luckily for us, the owner of the restaurant is a very good friend of ours. So I complained, I told him what I observed, and he was like, oh, Kevin, because this is your field.
Yes.
We don't mind here. Can you come and
offer some training?
I was like, sure, why not? Anyway, we scheduled an appointment, or like 2 days. We went in, we did a bit of mystery shopping. We carelessly interviewed some of the staff. They didn't know why we were doing it.
Yes.
Just to have a bit of information to work with as the training begins. So we started the training, and as we were doing the training, or during the course of the training, already we spotted out the ones that were trainable and the ones that were not.
The recalcitrant ones.
Yes. And my colleague and I looked at each other as we were doing the presentation, because we also have what we have. We do this case-by-case study. Okay. It's an activity, role plays.
Yes.
So we had that, and during that case study activity, we observed. We separated, or we segregated the ones that were trainable and the ones that were not trainable.
Yes.
So after the training lasted for like 3 days. After the training, we had to do some recommendation. We had to do a report to the company. And in the report, we told the management exactly what we observed. And the joke was, they told us that we were right. And that how did we spot that out? Because as we were delivering the training, we were asking questions. And we could see through
some people were not interested.
They were not interested. They were not enthusiastic.
Paying attention.
They were not paying attention. They were not asking questions. So we knew right there that they were just a no-no for that restaurant. So at the end of the day, we recommended. We don't have the right to say, well, these are the people you should fire or recruit or whatever. But we recommended that if you really want progress in your company or in your restaurant, these people must go. And that was what happened. And the joke is, the other members of staff are still there.
Till today.
Till today, we just bump into the restaurant, and the moment they see us, they'll be like, oh, good afternoon, good evening. And the way customer service should be, they're now displaying good attitude or positive attitude.
Would it be because, as I found out, a lot of people end up in jobs that they have no business being in? A lot of those people you talked about, for instance, who were not interested, they may just be doing that job because there's nothing else to do. For instance, a lot of drivers that I see today are not real drivers. They're driving because they're unemployed. Would that have anything to do with it? Or do you think that even if they didn't want this job, they can still be trained to do the job well and to do it excellently?
It's a yes and no answer. Yes, in the sense that really, if you're interested in what you're doing, you can learn on the job. No, in the sense that some people are not just trainable. Some people are not fit for the kind of jobs they're doing. For example, if you're into a customer-facing job, which is like this customer service that we're discussing, you must be able to smile at any point in time.
Customer-facing means that the customer comes to interact with you physically, face to face.
Yes, you're interacting on one-on-one. You don't want anybody with a cold face. You want someone who has a lovely smile. You don't want anybody bringing his or her problems to from home, and we all have issues as human beings. But when you're in that kind of job, or you're in that kind of position, you need to leave that. And Be pleasant to customers. That's the only way you can be helpful. And the experience a customer gets from that smile, from being helpful and pleasant, would never be forgotten.
Any business can have customer service. Anyone at all. A hospital, for instance. Does a hospital need excellent customer service?
A customer do need customer service, excellent customer service. Let me give you an instance. You walk into a private hospital.
Yes.
Usually there is a reception area. The last thing or the worst thing that can happen to you is if you're ill, you now walk into the reception area and the receptionist is so cold. You don't need that.
Yes.
Customer service is about making people feel good. A better person. How do you make a person a better person?
Yes.
How do you make her feel she's important? He or she is important by being friendly.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Ma. Good afternoon, sir. How may I help you today? I might say something like, I'm looking for the X-ray department. So you'll be like, oh, okay, I'll take you there.
Yeah.
Just walk down straight, make a left, right, the first door on the right.
Yeah.
That's good enough. That's decent. So every business or organization should have customer service department.
So anyone who's watching you now, who runs an organization saying, you know, I like what she's saying, but I don't think my business could benefit from all this customer service thing she's talking about, what would you say to them?
The person is on his own. He's on his own. You cannot be an island. No man is an island.
Yes.
You can't say you don't need customer service because there are other competitors, there are other industries, the same product within the different industries. So I don't have to come to your company. I could go to another company. If you're going to be nasty, if you're going to be cold, if I'm not going to get good service from, why should I come?
Yes.
I have the right to move to another, because competition is out there. So you need to do something extra. Part of what you need to do that is extra is part of having excellent customer service. And
customer service training can be tailored to meet the needs of every organization, can't it?
Yes.
Right.
Usually.
So what would happen? You would go in there, you've done your mystery shopping or your mystery investigations, and then what? You would develop a plan for the training of...
Yes, depending on the observations, depending on our findings, we would recommend, this is what we feel this company should do. In our opinion, we visited or we approached some of your staff.
Yes.
We saw A, B, C, and if you want your company to improve or to earn more revenue, we feel these are the steps you should take. We could only suggest or recommend.
Yes.
Like any other forthright person or forward-thinking person, you would always choose that path to make more money, and you're going to key into the idea.
Right. Who provides customer service typically? Is it a person, physical person, or by automation?
It's based on case by case. It would depend on the organization. It would depend on the nature of business that you do.
Right.
If you're, for instance, I would say if you're in the mortgage industry, you can have more of automation than face-to-face interaction with customers or with customer service advisors.
Yes.
But if you're in the retail industry, for example, you're better off having a balance, a good mix of. So it's not like you should just have automation
or this alone.
Yes, because automation 24 hours it's not the best. Face-to-face 24/7 is also not the best because you can't really, in this day and age, everything has gone digital.
Yes.
And because of all the different social media platforms available now, it has encouraged people to do more of automated customer service.
Join us again after the break.
Nice question.
Angela, that's a great question.
It's a good question.
It is difficult to respond to that question.
That is a serious question.
Angela, that is a very great question.
Great question, Angela. Angela, that's a very difficult question.
That's a great question, Angela.
Okay, that's a great question.
Angela, that's a tough one for me.
That's a good question. Good question.
I love to ask questions. I think it's what I do best. You see, I think that the fastest way to learn anything is to ask questions. The right questions. questions that help you get to the heart of the matter.
60 Minutes with Angela. Again, answers to every question you always wanted to ask.
Welcome back. My concluding moments now with KEMI ODUNOWO, customer service consultant. Can we differentiate between customer service and customer support? Is there a difference between the two?
There's a bit of a slight difference between the two. Customer support is when, for instance, you buy a product and it has a bit of fault. And you just walk in, or you buy a product or a radio or TV and you just say, oh, can you assist in operating or show me how it works?
Yes, or install it.
Or install it.
Yes.
So that's more of customer support. You're supporting the customer,
yes, because
it's your brand or your product and you need to show or explain how the product is being used or operated.
Right, right. That's different from customer service.
Customer service is actually going that extra mile. It's that extra feeling, extra care, extra service that you provide or you render to customers.
How can one improve one's customer service skills? I'm not directing this now at the employers. I'm directing this at the employees, those who are watching us now and who think, all right, I want to make an effort to improve my customer service skills. What are the things I should do? Are there any books for me to read? Are there any courses I can take? Can I even come to you for training?
Thank you, Angela. You could look for any company who does training. For example, my training, we also train customer service advisors. And in the process of training these advisors, we notice that a lot of them do lack telephone skills, telephone etiquette,
yes,
being patient. They lack management skills, management as in managing the time a customer is with you.
Yes.
Because I walk into your store does not mean I have 2 hours
to waste.
Yes. You have to give credence to a customer's complaint, and it should, my coming to you or walking into you also should be a memorable one. Memorable one as in something positive,
yes,
something nice, something pleasant that you provide or you render to me,
yes,
rather than having a nasty feel about your company.
All right. You've spoken now about lacking telephone etiquette skills.
Yes.
I know that normally you would charge for that kind of training, but just take us through. What are some of the things we do wrong on the telephone when people call? What is the best way to answer a phone call coming into an organization?
Going by international standards,
yes,
the best way to answer calls is to pick up a phone after the first ring.
First ring?
First ring. After the first ring.
So it's considered rude?
Very rude and inefficient.
To let it ring and
endlessly.
Ring and ring.
Endlessly. That I've experienced so many times here, which is totally unacceptable. You should pick up the phone at the first ring. You answer the phone in a pleasant manner with a pleasant tone. You shouldn't be brash on the phone.
So if you are quarreling before you pick up that phone, you swallow the quarrel.
That's right. You become an actor or actress. You must have that skill as well, because you are not meant to come in a fierce.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. How can I help you, sir? You can't do that. It's not going to get you anywhere. You just have to be an actor. Oh, good afternoon.
And when you smile, it changes the tone.
That's right. Because when you smile, it shows you're happy.
Okay.
When you're happy, even if you're the irate type, because there are different types of customers, even if you're the irate. But the worst thing that can happen to you is you're angry, you're walking in, and you now see
someone so
an
pleasant
customer advisor who is nasty.
Yes.
It's just not going to get you anywhere, and you don't need that. So you need to be pleasant. The tone has to be balanced. You shouldn't waste customers' time.
Yes.
And you must have product knowledge, which is also important.
Product knowledge.
Product knowledge.
Nothing as bad as not knowing what you're selling.
Oh my goodness, Angela, that's the worst thing that can happen to you. If you know you don't know about a particular aspect of a product, for instance, in the automobile industry, you walk into an automobile shop and you say, oh, how much is your 1.8 liter vehicle? The man might say, okay, 3 million. The customer might say, what's the ground clearance?
What does that mean? And then they look around
and they look around and be like, ground clearance. The worst thing you can do is to be asking your customer, excuse me, what do you mean by ground clearance? Ground clearance is actually the gap between the floor or the road
and the car.
SUVs have higher ground clearance, for instance.
Yes.
And saloon cars,
sports cars
have almost zero ground clearance, depending on the make and brand of the vehicle.
Yes.
Product knowledge is quite important. What's the fuel efficiency like?
Yes.
What's the warranty like? Is there any warranty? What's the after sales service like? I mean, so many questions you ask when you walk into an automobile shop, and you should be able to provide answers to these questions.
Yes.
But if for whatever reasons you don't understand what the customer is saying, or you don't have a clue,
yes,
the best thing to do is to ask the customer to just give you a minute and go and look for your colleague to come and deal with the customer, rather than fabricating or making up stories which won't really make sense.
False information that you don't have.
Yes.
So, telephone, you pick up the phone, you say hello, do you introduce yourself?
First thing to do is good afternoon. Good afternoon, this is don't let me use the company abroad. Yes. Good afternoon, this is Subaru Motors Nigeria Limited. How may I help you today? You learn to listen attentively. You don't want a customer repeating him or herself. Yes, you must be attentive as he or she is speaking. A customer cannot go through
the whole thing,
and then you say, at the end, and you'll be like, oh, what did you say, or what's your name? Because the normal thing is, good afternoon, ladies and gents. Sorry, good afternoon. My name is KEMI. I'm calling from Subaru. How can I help you? This is Subaru Motors. Obviously, the other party will be like, good afternoon, this is Mrs. X on the line.
Yes.
Mrs. X should be Mrs. X at the end of the conversation. So you shouldn't now say, well, I need to take information.
Your name again.
I don't need that. You don't need my name
I already
anymore.
told you my name.
Yes. So that's part of being attentive. You must be a good listener. You must respond to customers' complaints within a reasonable time, because there are some irate customers who really believe in the customer is always right.
Yes.
The customer is always right. Sometimes customers could be very unreasonable because at the back of their head or mind, they feel the customer is always right.
Yes. So, and they're sticking with that.
Yes.
And they won't let you forget it.
Yes.
But is the customer always right?
The customer is always right, Angela. The customer is always right. Whether you believe it or not, that's
just the way it is.
It is, yeah. In the world, in the retail industry especially, the customer is always right. Because if the customer is not right, are you going to tell the customer, no,
you are wrong.
I don't believe you, I don't agree? For example, you walk into a retail industry, you bought a dress, and it's obvious that the dress has been worn.
Yes.
And you'll be like, oh, I'm the customer, and I'll be like, oh, I'm here to return this dress.
Yes.
As a customer advisor, you should ask why. You'll be like, well, I tried it and it was too small. And it's so obvious to you that the customer maybe wore it like twice.
Yes.
You're not going to rub it in the customer's face that, oh, excuse me, no,
You've worn this dress.
You just have to deal with it. Deal with it. The customer is right. You're not meant to be proved unless it's unreasonably ruined or damaged.
Yes.
Then you can say it will be obvious, 100% obvious. Other than that, the customer is always right.
These are some huge lessons for us.
Yes.
So who crafts the customer service policy of an organization? Will every organization have to hire somebody like you to come in and draft a policy? Because I assume, listening to you, that every organization must have a policy in place on how to deal with customers.
It would be a case-by-case matter because, as I said earlier on, a mortgage company, the customer service for a mortgage company is totally different from that of a coffee shop. It's totally different from that of an hotel. So it would depend on the policies and procedures of each organization. But generally speaking, it's usually between the strategy department, if there's anything called strategy department in a particular industry, and the HR.
Human resources.
Human resources.
Right. So they would come up with the policy.
Yes.
And what would a typical customer service policy contain? Will it depend, of course, I assume, on the nature of the work that organization does, and then it will be tailor-made for that organization?
Skewed, that's the word, skewed towards the business, as I said,
that the organization does.
Customer service in a coffee shop, in quote, is different from that of an hotel. It's different from that of a restaurant, and the list goes on.
Generally, there are some general tips for customer service. You've talked about smiling. You've talked about being warm and all that. No one can fail doing those two things.
No one can fail by doing those two things. No one can fail by listening properly. Time management, as I said, you don't need to waste a customer's time unnecessarily. And a thank you. You must be in the habit of saying please, thank you. And you must be transparent. Transparent in the sense that your return policy, for example, some people don't make it explicit. They don't make their return policy explicit.
They don't want the customer to even know.
They don't want the customers to even know, especially in this part of the world. Return policy in some companies could be like, if you buy this within 7 days, if there's any fault, return it. Some companies, 14 days. And even if they're going to have their return policy, the lettering is extremely small. So you walk into
one little small
that's
notice.
The last thing. You're not going to walk into any store and be looking for, what's the return policy? Even though abroad, some people actually do that. And I presume why they do that, they must have had nasty experience in some stores. But in this part of the world, return policies should be transparent.
Do we even have return policies here?
No.
It's very rare.
Very rare. Very rare. We're going to get there. We're going to get there.
Thank you very much. You know, it's been interesting speaking with you because everyone I know researching for this, I asked a lot of people what are their experiences in terms of customer service, and we all kind of have typically the same experiences. No change at the gas station, no change at the supermarket. The security man who parks your car at the supermarket greets you and greets you and greets you again, but because he's hoping he will get a tip. You know, is that the kind of customer service you're talking about when they over-greet you as well? You're parking in the supermarket. Welcome, happy shopping. Happy weekend. Happy Sunday.
Factor.
Yes.
That's the Nigerian factor. That, to a certain extent, is customer service.
Right.
But the way we take it, when we hear these people say those things, we just automatically assume that we should give them a tip. And when you think about it, you're happy. If they make you happy.
You might as well.
They smile at you. Oh, morning, ma'am. Morning,
open
madam.
your door.
Open your door for you. They make you feel good. It's like they care about you. So if you can afford it, why not? On the low scale or amongst the low class people, that is customer service.
So it's a good thing they're doing.
To a certain extent.
When can it become bad?
It can become bad when, for instance, as you said, you walk into a mall and the poor man is tired, for instance. And he sees you, the gate man sees you struggling. Maybe you're driving a big SUV, for instance, and you're struggling to look at your rear mirror. You can't see your back clearly, and he just sits there. He can't be bothered. He knows he's really meant to like stand up, assist. Okay, why don't you
direct you this way?
Okay, that section is filled up. Why don't you move to the other side? when they don't do that, then it becomes bad service. But we take these little things, we take all these things for granted.
Yes.
There's nothing as fantastic as having good customer service.
Nothing as fantastic as having good customer service.
That's right.
Thank you very much, Ms. Odunowo, for coming on the program today.
Thank you very much, Angie. Thank you.
And thank you for watching. I'm Angela Ajitomobi.